Recently, I was playing through the Ravenholm portion of Half-Life 2, and I began to notice machines, gadgets, gizmos, doodads. They surround you at every turn. This got me thinking about what other machines were present in Half-Life 2, and so I began a daring hunt to discover them all. Today, let's go through all of the strange machines in Half-Life 2. Upon exiting the Ravenholm mines, we become witness to one of the most remarkable gizmos in the game. To get to the exit, Gordon Freeman must activate a large makeshift blade spinning at high speeds attached to a minecart which goes up and down the tunnel. We will refer to this type of device as a millhouse mincer, as it appears in other places in the game. Earlier in the same chapter, we can actually find another millhouse mincer just after entering the town. In both instances, they are a benefit to Freeman as they effortlessly slaughter zombies that attempt to hurt him, both physically and mentally. It's entirely possible that only two exist in the town given the presence of what appears to be a millhouse mincer workshop, overrun by zombies. Father Gregory's death and the general environment of Ravenholm shows that the town does in fact have an overwhelming amount of zombies, which makes the abandonment of such a facility more sensible. It is a shame, however, because millhouse mincers could be the next big thing. Ravenholm is not just home to the millhouse mincers, but plenty of other strange machines. Shortly after Freeman meets the father, he comes across two deadly traps composed of cars that are lifted by a pulley and dropped to the ground continuously, crushing anything in their path. There is also this bizarre crane thing that moves over an unusually short distance. It appears to have two hooks used for carrying some type of large object. We're not sure what it may have moved, as no large objects exist in the building it's presumably stored in. However, we can theorize that it was for moving horses about 12 yards to make the horse transportation process easier. But why were they transported? Well, for glue production, of course. That should have been obvious. Father Gregory has a similar contraption that has been instead fashioned into a gondola. While its existence is perfect for Gordon's escape out of Ravenholm, its general purpose is likely for door dashers making the dangerous trip to deliver McDonald's to the father. After all, since there is a new train station built as part of the urban renewal project for City 17, there is additional tourism now. And speaking of which, before the Citadel was demolished to make way for new developments in City 17, the Citadel was in fact home to Dr. Breen's balls. Throughout Half-Life 2 and even the episode, his balls are all over the place. By balls, I'm referring to dark energy as seen in the Citadel's... God damn it. By balls, I'm referring to dark energy as seen in the Citadel's dark fusion reactor and the AR2 energy pellet. What did you think I was talking about? Get your mind out of the gutter, dude. These are largely ultra-high-powered concentrations of energy that are either used to power the Citadel itself, or in the case of Dr. Breen, used to teleport in and out of the Citadel. The Citadel also has a series of ground smashers near the base of the tower. What these do is, frankly, unknown in this case. To me, it seems redundant to smash the ground over and over again. Perhaps they were attempting to lay fiber optic cables. Going far away from the Citadel, let's take a scenic drive along the coast, with a fog in the distance veils the Citadel. Throughout the coast chapter, plenty of abandoned or occupied homes can be found along Highway 17. One of these houses in particular has a tire swing on the outside, with the inside of the home being occupied by a small contingent of Combine performing reconnaissance work on a rebel outpost. The tire swing outside their camp can only mean one thing. They like to play in their spare time. This one doodad is transformative in the way we understand the Combine, because they're just like us. They like fun, they like playing, and they love tire swings. Fortunately, games and toys are plentiful throughout the world. Black Mesa East is a mecca of toys, with a tire swing in the junkyard being presumably used by Alyx Vance in her spare time when she's not, eating hot dogs and jumping up and down and running in circles. In the same junkyard, we can also find the most extreme toy of all, the motorized merry-go-round. Attached to an engine not too dissimilar to the one seen in Ravenholm, it maintains much higher speeds than the other merry-go-rounds in Half-Life 2. And wait a second. I have a theory. Let's compare this merry-go-round with the millhouse mincers seen in Ravenholm. They both use engines to either maintain or develop torque. Does this mean? No. Father Gregory was a toy maker at Black Mesa East before he was banished to Ravenholm? Holy crap, this is huge. While you dwell on that fact, let's go a little bit closer to City 17 and take a relaxing stroll through an abandoned rebel encampment in the canals. just sit and listen for a moment. Quite beautiful, actually. And let me break character briefly just to say that this is one of the most bizarre parts of Half-Life 2 because it is genuinely really peaceful, which is of course ruined by a swarm of headcrabs. Anyways, let's look at more machines. Back in City 17, the first half hour of the game introduces a wide variety of gizmos, gadgets, and strange machines. The first of these is a turnstile located within the city's train station, which appears to rotate on nothing. Perhaps it's wedged in between the top of the frame and the floor with an atrocious amount of butter on each end to make it slippery enough to rotate. In Dr. Kleiner's lab, we can see something quite incredible. To get up to the control panel for the teleporter, Kleiner uses a fairly archaic elevator to get up. Except, I would argue that Kleiner is actually a genius. Not only does it exist for his own purposes, it's actually ADA accessible, meaning those with mobility issues can use it to get up and down with ease. Really, Kleiner is a forward thinker. Once the Combine are gone and the normal government is restored, his lab will be ADA accessible for anyone. After Freeman begins his escape to get the Black Mesa East, he comes across a rotating grate of sorts that seems to provide no purpose other than being a nuisance. I mean, seriously, just look at this. Why is it here? What does it do? It is an excellent example of a strange machine. Not long after, Freeman discovers a series of floating objects trapped underneath a set of wooden planks. After either destroying them with a crowbar or shooting them with a gun, the objects float to the surface, allowing him to cross the gap. The question I have, and I mean, seriously, presuming that this room retains at least a low level of water at all times, well, even regardless, why are these objects trapped under haphazardly placed planks? Now, yeah, to be a bit meta, this is obviously just level design to create an obstacle for the player to cross, but think about it. Why does it exist? Maybe they're radioactive and they secured them deep underwater and just didn't have enough money to buy all the planks they needed. Later on, after receiving the airboat, an enormous series of strange machines can be discovered while traveling through the canals. The first of these is a bizarre ramp that can only be set to the proper height by pushing multiple barrels underneath it to provide buoyancy to lift the ramp up. One might assume that this was created by the rebels for previous uses of the airboat. However, why would the barrels then be removed? We even see a citizen who drops supplies off for Freeman right before he arrives at the ramp. Is he stupid? Why wouldn't he just fix it for Freeman? Not long after, a lambda cache can be discovered, which requires the use of a pulley system to pull down the cache itself. It's another great example of why. Are the rebels f***ing idiots? Why did they make it a puzzle? Were they fearing that if the Combine found it, they'd solve the puzzle and get supplies and resources that they definitely already have in great supply? I just don't get it. And guess what? There's even more. Further on, Freeman encounters another ramp that has to be lifted by putting heavy objects into an elevator which essentially acts as a giant pulley. And it's the same inconvenient thing? Do the rebels just hate Freeman? What did he do? Why are they having him learn the way of the gizmo? We're going to take another trip to the coast. To get back into Highway 17 after being forced to take a detour, Freeman must fight through a dock facility which requires him to lower a wooden bridge which seems to be on a gigantic hinge. And like the ramps built by the rebels, why is this a bridge on a giant hinge? The gap below where the ocean used to be doesn't seem to go anywhere, and I feel like there are probably far better ways of lifting a bridge than on a single hinge. See, it gets even worse. Or better. Depends how you look at it. Later on, Freeman finds a rebel encampment where he must open a gate by powering it with 3 car batteries. See, the thing about this gate that makes no sense to me is how the gate is lifted upwards rather than out. It just seems way too over-engineered, especially for the rebels. Would it not require less energy to have a 2-part gate that has a hinge and swings out like a normal door? Who knows, man? These rebel engineering projects make no goddamn sense. The last machine I'd like to take a look at is actually in Nova Prospect, a location which surprisingly lacks strange machines. However, it does have one item in particular that is very special. One room in the prison contains an iambic pentameter beam that is constantly broadcasting skibidi toilet videos into the Vortigaunt's brain. What the effects of this are specifically is unknown, but we know it causes death, making this the most dangerous gadget. The unfortunate reality is that in Episode 1 and Episode 2, strange machines are just not as prevalent. The Valve devs decided to forego strangeness and oddity in exchange for intricately designed, logical machines. Frankly, that's a tragedy, but at the very least, you now know about the strange machines seen in Half-Life 2. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe! I constantly put deep dives into things that you really have never thought about and frankly don't care about, but I know you're curious, hence why you watch these. And please do. My audio recorder keeps telling me it's low on battery and I don't have long. Please, subscribe now! Peace and love, my friends. Take care of yourself.